They were faced with a problem of just the wooden rounding boards and shutters on the machine were degrading, they're rotting away, and they'd taken an awful lot of looking after. So that initially they'd replaced the rounding boards and the shutters with fiberglass, like powder coated and impregnated fiberglass, and it was quite a while before they had the front painted to try and match it, but we couldn't match it completely.
Well, obviously the wood got weathered. Dependent the wood, you had to varnish it every year. Wood, you put the oil-based paints, the old oil-based paints on. They had to be varnished every year, touched up and varnished. And it also depends on the ride. If it's some of the rides, some fairs now with the modern lorries and everything, we're doing a lot more fairs. So the ride's going up and down a lot more. So it's getting handled a lot more. So there's more chance of it getting marked. But today, nowadays, we're using a two-pack paint. Using a two-pack paint with a lacquer, two-pack lacquer on top of it, which is very durable. It's the same kind of lacquer that goes on your car, so it doesn't scratch and it weathers a lot better now compared to the old oil-based paints. And the panels now, they're aluminium or fiberglass or a GRP, which is they are very durable. And a lot of the rides all fold up now, so they're not really getting man-handled a lot as well. Also, like a lot of the kiddies rides, all the balls fold, the boards stay on, and the bigger rides now all fold away. Although we're doing a lot more miles, so given that we're doing a lot more miles, there's a lot less handling now compared to everything used to be in trucks and in lorries, but now everything's on a trailer and it folds, and there's a lot less. So the list is getting handled. There's not as much chance of getting scratched. In terms of where the wood used to blister, if they used to hold moist the wood and it would blister the paint from the back, from inside out, you don't tend to have that problem with aluminium or fiberglass. It's a lot better for weather, and it seems to be a lot better. Materials now seem to be a lot better. Wood's a thing of the past for our sort of work now.
Right. Did you at one stage do any work? I seem to have your name linked with Ron Taylor's boxing booth at some stage.
Yeah, he was actually the first person I ever worked for. I didn't do his boxing booth to begin with. But his ride was the Star Trek themed rib tickler that I mentioned earlier on, and it was a couple of years later that I painted or repainted the boxing booth. Well, he had the sense to save the original. I mean, that went into, I think it went to the States in the end, so that's in preservation, and we painted on all brand new boards, just trying to replicate as far as I could at the time the techniques and styles that were on the original show. It was very, very early in my decorating career, and I didn't really have the traditional skills that I needed. At that time I was still more of a figurative painter.
Now there aren't really that many fairground artists left, certainly not in this country. Are you in the process, or do you have any plans to hand down your craft to someone else at all?
Yes, if anybody's interested, I will do. There was another fairground lady, one of the mothers come to me and says, I think my boy should paint, can you tell him a few tips? I says, well, the first thing I'm going to say is, does he want to do it? And she says, yes, well, I want him to do it, so yes, it will be good for him. He can get a living in it, and it's a talent. I says, but if he doesn't want to do it, he'll never going to make it. It's like anything. It's like being a footballer, like being a singer, like being anything. If you want to do it and do it well, you've got to dedicate a lot of dead hours to it, a lot of time in learning the different things, because no two jobs are the same. There's every job's different, and every job has its own problems. So it takes a process of a lot of time, a lot of hours, and a lot of mistakes to learn from that. You can influence somebody, you can teach somebody so much, but for them to go ahead and do it, and each job create its own problems, they've got to want to do it. It's like anything, they've got to want to do it.
It is incredibly demanding, filthy, dangerous, miserable. I wouldn't recommend anybody to get into it at all.
Do you have a fun element in your work as well? Because I'll tell you why. I mean, there's some extraordinary things happen once you actually have that artwork onto a ride. There was one which I found hilarious, which I saw on the town where a few years ago, and it was a painting of Marilyn Monroe on the side of a hot dog wagon. And where her mouth was, the service door to the hat shop said this huge square. I mean, do you ever find that the circumstances you actually put your artwork in, you can have a laugh with?
You certainly do, yes. I've even been requested to do some sign writing on a fairground ride, and make spelling mistake, deliberate spelling mistake, and it was so that people would actually come up and say, oh, by the way, that's spelt wrong, because you'll get a lot of people would look and walk on and just look at it and have a wee giggle to themselves. But you can guarantee to get 2 out of 10 people would walk up and say, hey, you've spelled that wrong. And usually tends to say, well, would you like to try now you're here? And sometimes it actually works, that policy. But there's some strange requests you do. Some of them you have to say, wait a minute, that won't work. But a lot of the times you do some strange things. You do get away with a lot of different things on the fairground. I don't know, like a coloured lady it was, and somebody says to me, I knew that's Michael Jackson, isn't it? And I went, that's who it is, which it wasn't. It was off a holiday programme. Then somebody else got me, says, I know that's Janet Jackson. I says, that's who it is. And then another one says it was Diana Ross, and I just agreed with them all, saying, yes, that's who it is. It can be ever who you want it to be. It didn't really bother me.
There are lots of other painters around, and as long as they want to, they're welcome to continue. There's more than enough work for another dozen painters.